Well, anyway, it was nice talking to you. Pleasure. See ya. Medicare for Medicare. I was like, Medicare. What's Medicare?
Medicare for all.
But don't we have it for all? I'm not really that familiar with.
I'm sorry?
Don't we have it for all? Like people who qualify.
So 65 and over.
Everyone
Everyone who qualifies gets it.
Everyone, we needed to cover everyone in the country.
Instead of extending Medicare to people my age as well, people younger, as in a universal coverage.
Wait a minute. You look very healthy, both of you, healthy individuals. So what is it?
Cost prevents a lot of care.
What's that?
Cost prevents a lot of people from getting care.
But everything has a cost. That's why, when I say free, look, I came from USSR originally. We had everything for free. You know what it meant? We had nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
So does
It's like
so does war. War costs a lot too, but who's benefiting from that?
the what war?
Yeah, war costs a lot.
You're talking about war where around the world, in Russia.
Global war of 8. The U.S. currently has troops in 8 different countries internationally, costing trillions of dollars.
Right.
The necessity of that, as opposed to the cost-saving benefit, because it actually would save money in the long run to give people a socialized form of healthcare to cover the costs of everyone through tax dollars instead of bombing people we don't know. Would actually save money in the long run, because the cost per person, for example, the royal wedding that just happened in England, that was a luxury wedding in the UK, right? The finest thing. But the cost of that per dollar was cheaper than a normal birth. Sorry, the royal birth in the UK was cheaper than a normal birth in this country.
Okay.
Because of the inflation of medical costs, because of the inflation of pharmaceutical costs, the extrapolation of wealth disparity. So what if you were to close that, so everyone could have that same benefit, we'd actually save more money in the long term.
So let me try to understand.
Yeah.
You're trying to save money by cutting our military presence around the world.
Well, that's one way to do it, yeah.
That's one of the. But if let's say we cut and run, if let's say we remove our bases from every country we're in, what do you think the Russians are going to do?
Well, see, that's the thing is.
And I came from Russia. Listen, I know what the Russians think.
I know, but
Hear me.
There's this concept of imperial project that Russia has to reclaim as an embarrassed world superpower.
Right.
But at the same time, the way to counteract that well, I don't know. There's a lot of thoughts on that, but
give me an example. I mean,
if
not
one of the ways that you do not counteract that is by doing your own imperial project.
But we're just having bases to protect ourselves. I mean, who took Crimea over? The Russians did. Who took Eastern Ukraine over?
No, totally.
The Russians did.
But at the same time,
breaking every law, every agreement. When was the last time that we occupied even a minute piece of foreign territory?
Wait, in this country?
Yeah, America.
I mean, we're occupying. Where we have people in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Sudan, Somalia.
We're not occupying it. I mean, if we pull, and who lives over there?
It's kind of occupying it. I mean, there's insurgents against the U.S. military.
Look, when the Russians came to Crimea, they claimed it part of Russian territory. Do you know of any other parts of the world where we went to and claimed it as part of our territory?
Puerto Rico, the Pacific Islands in Samoa, and various American Polynesian
we occupied them.
And Hawaii was an occupied state.
They're not happy to be part of America?
Well, I mean, there's issues.
Talk to them.
Native Hawaiians, no, they're not happy to be part of it.
They're not.
Yeah. I mean, the entire country is occupied.
Really?
This country.
So then you're an occupier, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm an occupier. This is an occupied land.
Are you an occupier?
I am an occupier.
Am I an occupier? I'm a Russian immigrant.
We're all occupiers because it's only through a colonial project that we all got here to begin with.
But Columbus was not even an American. It had nothing to do with America.
No, I'm not talking about.
So how did he? It was British.
Project. Yeah, British colonial project, Spanish.
But let's say hypothetically, if Europeans never came to this continent, what do you think this continent would have been today in the 21st century? Do you think there would be any progress over here?
Yeah, what?
Well, define progress. It's very, very easy. You have
colonial frame.
no. It's very simple.
There'd be no genocide of Native Americans.
Well, there's no genocide. Most
There
of
was
the
a genocide.
no,
There
was absolutely genocide.
most Indians there were 160 guys with Pizarro came over here. They happened to have the diseases.
I don't know about
For
the
which
fact
there's
that
no
you
immunity.
right? I don't know what you read, but I think Wounded Knee, Trail of Tears, or like hundreds of millions of Native Americans dying counts as genocide. And if you read the accounts of Columbus's own accounts of what he did to the Native population when he showed up, torturing them, putting them in slavery, that sounds like genocide.
And how many millions of Indians lived over here? How many Indians?
A
lived
lot.
here?
I don't think we
A
have
lot.
a number because we didn't care when we were killing.
No, but the point is, how when you come to think of it, how can you kind of commit a genocide with a small group like hundreds of people?
I think there's millions. It costs
Millions of who? Millions of immigrants?
How can they commit genocide?
No, yeah. I mean, when just a group of couple hundred people came over here, they murdered millions of natives.
It took 200 years. I don't know if you're up to date with your history of the United States and Columbus. I mean, when the 13 colonies was a thing, that was only 13, that was the eastern seaboard. They killed everyone then, and then they spent the next 200 years killing everyone progressively as they moved across the country. Yeah, because, we didn't get to the West Coast until 1875. So there was a lot of death. And then there's reservations and camps, re-education.
So it was a bad thing that Columbus discovered America, is that right?
It's interesting when you put it as like bad or good, because that's history. You have to cope with that. You have to understand the history and how the effects leading to our present day.
Yeah, but the end result, we got America, the best country in the world, no?
Well, the end result, we also have America, which is, I would also say, the kind of the pinpoint of most global strife in the world. So
what's the number of? I see the people are wearing some numbers on their hands. I see you have a number. What's that?
Is some of that?
Is the phone number?
It's the phone number.
Oh, it's the phone.
Yeah.
For the organization?
It's for the American Civil Liberties Union.
Oh, so if somebody kind
Someone
of
gets arrested and your
you go like,
belongings are taken away,
too early.
no, you call them.
I see. That's how it works. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you afraid of police?
I mean, who's not afraid of police?
I'm not afraid of police. Not at all. Because I know that am I a law-abiding citizen? I don't even have as much as a ticket. I haven't had it for decades.
I mean, I think that it depends, like, who decides the law, because, like, a lot of people are...
You don't decide the law. Politicians decide the law. Policemen enforce the law.
Yeah, but who's deciding the law? I mean, do I get the vote? I mean...
Of course you do.
Like,
of course you do.
Those laws being lobbied by corporations... I mean,
there we go, corporations
a
again.
long story to, like, essentially explain, like, how, like, law...
Obama was our president for 8 years. So was he beholden to corporations too, or I mean, what's the Obama era?
Are you asking facetiously?
No. Seriously, no. When I'm saying that corporations influence, I mean, Obama influenced our society fundamentally.
Of course.
So he was beholden to corporations. Okay. And then Trump is beholden, then everybody's beholden to corporations. There is no difference if there's Republican, Democrat. That's
it's not a Democratic Party rally.
It's not a Democratic Party here.
This is not a Democratic Party
rally. What's DSA, by the way? Democratic
Socialist of America.
So you're for socialism. This whole thing for socialism.
That's made it.
I got it. And what good comes out of socialism, I wonder?
I'm sorry?
What good comes out of socialism? How would you define by the way, how would you define this? Is an interesting question. I talked to a lot of people.
And I understand that you're approaching it with a certain idea, because as I said before, you're from Russia.
Right,
so you have a conception of like how people say when they talk about socialism.
Right.
But a basic way of understanding how, if you ask people here, when you say democratic ownership of the means of production and democratic ownership of the utilities and the elements that are allowed to live. As opposed to, say, somewhere like Flint, Michigan, where a corporation privatized their water and used cheaper chemicals and now they all have lead poisoning. Ideally, that wouldn't happen because the community would have that water.
Okay, let me ask you two simple questions. In socialism, is a profit allowed to exist in socialism or no?
I mean, like
profit, like
there's a lot of like.
It's like a yes or no.
In my conception, because a lot of people have different answers on this. Like, what is profit? I mean,
it's very simple. You buy it for $1, you sell it for $2. Right. That's profit. You pocket the difference.
So someone makes something for less money. You pay them a fraction of the cost you're going to sell them. And that idea, no, because like
No profit in socialism.
Well, why does there need to be profit?
No, I'm just asking.
No.
Because that's the classical definition of socialism.
Yeah, it doesn't, well,
Okay.
like not necessarily, but I don't think why would it?
Yeah, well, profit is criminalized. That's socialism, right?
I would also say like a definition of criminalized. I would say
Well, against the
made
law.
obsolete.
No, against the law.
I would say that why does it have to be law?
Well, because in the USSR, they will put you behind bars if you sell something, buy something for a ruble, sell for
I would
2,
say that,
3
like,
years of hard labor.
I would say that in an ideal society would make it so the need wouldn't have to have that happen, so that it wouldn't be done.
Oh, okay, got it. And now, and the second most important, thing which in my mind identifies or distinguishes socialism from, let's say, capitalism, is the private property rights. So, is private property a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, where do you live? You live in New York?
Staten Island, yeah.
Where?
Staten Island.
Staten Island.
Yeah.
Okay. So where I live right now, I grew up over there, and now I live in Bridgewood. So a lot of people can't afford to live there because the property has been bought up by large corporations that are pushing people out. They're bulldozing buildings, building high-rises, luxury high-rises that raise the rent for everyone else. They live there all their lives. So essentially, when people's relation to where they live, where they could no longer afford to live there, and that's just a mechanism of the end result of capitalism.
Yeah, but you know the definition of property, right?
Yes, and so
private property.
So in my, that's what I'm going to. In my point of view, how do you annihilate that? Because there's nothing you can do instead of intriguing, and that's going to be the end result. So no, I don't think that property should be allowed to be, when it affects the lives of hundreds of people, that you're a massive corporation owning their housing. I don't think you should have the right to have that housing.
Yeah, but there is, in this particular example, when it comes to New York City, when I came here 30 years ago, if you go to Times Square, it was a city disgusting part of New York City. And I'm sure that the rent was cheap back then. So would you rather have a cheap rent in a city environment that we have 30 years ago, or high rent and kind of safe, nice, classy environment?
That's a loaded question because there's also a lot of reasons that the city was so shitty. And that had to do with the city government. And they, essentially, what happened, I have to leave soon. But
Okay.
what happened?
I can march with you. Can I march with you?
What happened during that time was the banks, essentially, the city was paying social services on loan, right? And there's because of Reaganomics and cutting of costs, social services went bankrupt. The banks stopped paying those loans, and the banks took control of the city. And all sorts of services. You had more homeless, crime, less services for people, more people out in the street. So it doesn't have to do with private property. The idea was, essentially capital started that issue to begin with.
I see.
So capital created that problem. So why would you need to?
So, but where are we going to now?
To the park.
Which one?
Washington Square Park.
Washington. All right. See ya.
Anticapitalista! Anticapitalista!
TSA, let's make some noise! We have some musicians that are going to get started in a few minutes, but since you all marched and fired up, are you guys ready to give us a chant?
Yeah!
When immigrants are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When labor is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When any New Yorker is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
And when our civil liberties and our future is under attack, what does New York do?
Stand up, fight back!
Thank you so much, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. And we'll be getting started in a couple of minutes, but for now, we're going to enjoy this wonderful music. And this sister's trumpet says, "Time's up, everybody." This is intersectional action. We see those Black Lives Matter flags flying, and we appreciate you all being on time. Thank you, everyone.
We are timely.
One struggle, one fight. Workers of the world unite. One struggle, one fight. Workers of the world unite. One struggle, one fight. Workers of the world unite.